Hey, welcome to LSB Feasters Radio Channel, where our goal in life is keeping great radio from the past alive. And if you've been around talk radio at all over the last 40 years, you know the name Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh had the most popular talk radio show of the modern era. His national show was carried on over 600 radio stations. But what many may not know was in Limbaugh's early days of national syndication, he was also doing a local show just for New York City every day. WABC wanted Limbaugh for its lineup, but it wanted a local show, not a national show. WABC had been burned with national shows a few years earlier that didn't quite click with the New York audience. So, to get the deal for the national show, Rush had to host 2 shows a day. He hosted his national show from noon till 2, the one you probably heard. But he also hosted a local New York City show every day from 10 a.m. to noon. He kept that up for about 2 years until he convinced WABC to just take the national show so he could do 1 show a day. Limbaugh's single show was then lengthened from 2 hours till 3. Here we have a portion of Rush's very first show in New York. It was local, but you can hear all the Rushisms you're used to. Check it out. It's the one and only Rush Limbaugh and his very first show on 77 WABC New York.
WABC Talkradio77, Rush Limbaugh, New York, 20 minutes after 10. Back to the phones we go. Vinny from New York, hello. Glad you're with us.
All right, Rush. Thank you.
By the way, Thank you. First caller that has learned my name, and you pronounced it correctly. Thank you.
That one of them California beach names or what?
No, I'm originally California beach names. I would be if I were in California on the beach, I'd be a whale.
Oh.
I'm from Missouri. Rush is my grandfather's aunt's maiden name. It's an old family name.
All right. When you're hanging on the phone so long, you have things that you want to say, and those things keep changing as you hear the other callers.
Right.
One thing that I do want to say first is, though, you mentioned KAL Flight 007.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison.
No, I agree with you. It's not, but you got to realize there are going to be those who are going to make it.
Yeah.
Don't you realize there are people out there who are eager for this country to take it on the chin, take it in the shorts? There are, within our own shores, there's an anti-American crowd.
I think the Russian MiGs had the plane like in visual sight. They knew that it was a 747.
And they didn't warn it. You're absolutely right.
We did not, and I believe this is a tragedy. It definitely is for the Iranian families. But
do you really care about the Iranian families? Well, I mean, people say that all the time. It's definitely a tragedy for the American families. Do we really care about the American families or the Iranian families?
The Iranian families.
Do we really care about a situation like this?
Because there is a point where you say to yourself, look, there could have been innocent. There were innocent people on the plane, okay? But one thing about most of the callers, and it's I don't know what you'd say the type of person the Ayatollah is, but can you imagine how it's so easy for us to believe that he would send this plane to be shot down? Because he's not a stupid man. And I see that since he's taken over power, we know that he's not stupid.
Wait, let me see if I understand your point. You think the Ayatollah may have purposely sent this plane full of civilians on a flight path that guaranteed it would be shot down by a U.S. warship. For what purpose?
Because I believe that he needs 2 things. I believe every now and again he needs something to keep his people fired up.
All right, good point.
And I believe he needs something to keep our people fired up against, certain elements in this country, fired up against the military and against our being in the Persian Gulf. Okay? And I think that a lot of callers feel that. And it's an accident, if you want to, but I think that in the back of everyone's mind, there's that little bit that thinks, hey, wait a minute, maybe this guy's not so stupid, There's so...
Well, the Ayatollah is deathly ill. Now, if this is the Ayatollah doing this, he's remarkably in possession of his faculties, and the word is that the Ayatollah is in bad shape. Cancer is eating his body away, even as you and I speak. There is something that's going on in Frankfurt, West Germany tomorrow that may or may not be tied into this, but do you remember TWA 847 hijacked? Robert Steedham beat to death with the butt end of a rifle.
Yeah, Captain Testrake.
That's right. Well, the guy who did it goes on trial tomorrow.
Yes.
Muhammad Ali Hamadi in Frankfurt, West Germany.
Right.
I wonder if there's a connection.
There's many connections. You know.
There's also, let me give you another connection. We'll give you something else to think about.
Right.
And that is that there is a Pentagon scandal. Procurement scandal.
Right.
And Frank Carlucci, Defense Secretary, has frozen $1 billion in defense contracts. Now, I'm telling you, this kind of thing, when you couple this could lead us into paralysis. I'm surprised, frankly, there have not been more senators than there have been declaring openly for the War Powers Act and wanting to criticize Reagan resoundingly on this. I'm somewhat surprised. I think but as time goes on today, we get past the 4th of July holiday, the senators know that Americans feeling very patriotic today, and they're going to wait. But I bet you tomorrow that there's going to be an incredible call for the War Powers Act, and an anti-U.S. sentiment will show itself tomorrow.
Well, look, you know, we're there. We've been there all these years in the Persian Gulf. Something was bound to happen where we're going to look like we have egg on our face. And, you know, again, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. But you can't. I know the caller just before me didn't want to compare it to the Stark, but I think that's where you have to compare it to.
Absolutely, especially in the mind of the commander of the Vincennes.
Definitely. It's got to be on his mind. It's got to be on his mind to know, say, hey, wait a minute, now I better take a good look at this and see where I'm going. Do I want to sink my ship? Do I want to kill 50 Americans? Do I want to lose my career?
Exactly.
Or do I want to take, you know, my best shot and take all of these things that this billions of dollars worth of electronic equipment tells me, and tells me that...
You said the key. We're in a war zone. He's got to protect his ship. He can't tell what's coming at him. He's got to take the step he took. Don't don't misunderstand me. I'm totally in support of the action taken.
Yeah, but the thing that was on my mind was, though, I think that a lot of callers have the same thing on their mind. It's not beyond the Ayatollah to think about something like this. We've seen that.
I'm sorry, Vinny, I hit the button. Can I get him back? Vinny, are you there? There you go.
I'm sorry.
There you go. That's my fault.
That's okay. We've seen what he's done to Americans with the bombs in the planes and people. You know, we've seen it.
Right.
We've seen what he's done to our people. And I think if he needs something to fire up his people, this is not beyond him.
Well, I agree with you. It isn't beyond him. The Ayatollah's concern for the sanctity of life, obviously, is not what we in America think ours is. Vinny, you did a remarkable job. Glad you called. Callers are all doing well on this first day that we're together. WABC Talkradio77. My name is Rush Limbaugh. I'll be here each weekday morning executing my responsibilities flawlessly. Bill, Brooklyn, you're next on WABC. Hello.
Good morning, Rush. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to New York. I'm a resident of Santa Cruz County, visiting my family, ironically.
You are a resident of Santa Cruz?
I sure am.
Santa Cruz. There was a recent controversy in Santa Cruz regarding the Miss California pageant that has implications for Miss America. How long have you been up here? Visiting?
Visiting for a week, but I'm a native New Yorker of 23 years.
Well, it's a beautiful place. I've been here once before. I used to be with the Kansas City Royals for 5 years, and would come in here with them occasionally, and it's a nice city. I like it.
Well, I hope you continue to feel that way.
Thank you. I bet I will.
Okay, I wanted to discuss coincidence, not comparison in this case.
All right.
We have Stark, we have 007. The coincidence being why just after we're shooting at these gunboats. Now, we've been in the Persian Gulf for quite a while now, okay? All of a sudden now, we're fighting these gunboats. And just coincidentally enough, this jetliner happens to be right in that area on our 4th of July holiday. Now, some of what I'm going to say is going to support what Vinny was just talking about.
Why are you so eager to believe in a conspiracy, though?
No, not conspiracy, coincidence. Coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I feel that this was, let's not forget who we're dealing with here, okay? Now, I don't mean to offend anyone, but these Iranians do tend, the ones that choose to be, do tend to be crazy, all right? We already know they're suicidal, they resort to terrorism.
Well,
who is to say that their own pilot wasn't at gunpoint, forced to fly into this combat?
Now, you know, this isn't... I was talking to a friend on the phone last night who had the same theory, and I poo-pooed it. He said, what do you bet that you had one of these Shiite Muslims flying this thing and it was a kamikaze or something? And I of course, poo-pooed this, but I'm amazed at the number of people, I guess, who do think that this thing wasn't accidental.
Well, we can't take this for granted. These people are crazy. Now, I'm not saying if God forbid, these were civilians killed, that they were in on it. But all it took was one nut in that cockpit to force that plane to fly toward that ship, to not answer his radio. Maybe they were masking an F-14. Okay, and as far as what the captain did, all right, you know, it was a radar screen and so on and so forth. If the captain of that ship was standing on his deck and could see that it was a commuter jet, but still heading straight for him and not answering warnings, I think he'd still be justified in shooting it down. Because who's to say it's not full of TNT? Who's to say? We weren't there. We're not there. And the people in this country who debate whether we should be there or not, and the military presence and all this and all that, if our president made the choice for us to be there, then we're there and we belong there for whatever reasons.
Well, I can't say that I disagree with you, but I'm still perplexed about two things. Number one, obviously there have been a number of people call WABC this morning with the same attitude about this as you, and I'm really dumbfounded at the lack of people who have called, or the shortage of people who have called, who want to be critical of this. I guess most of the sentiment this morning has been U.S. is blameless, had to do it, we're in a war zone, and this is just the price you pay for being in it. If you're an Iranian citizen and you get on a commercial airliner, it's going to fly a military route.
Well, Rush, we're all... Right now, I mean, I am flying back to California on Saturday, okay? I'm taking the same chance now, because these people are prone to terrorism, and they could be planting bombs in our commercial jets.
Point is, the Iranian... I guess my problem with all of this, Bill, is that the Ayatollah Khomeini does not need an excuse to act irrationally. He does not need... I mean, he's got people dying left and right in the Iraq War. The Iranian people are not becoming soft on America. There is as much venomous hatred for America as there, after this incident as there was before, or vice versa. I don't know that he needs this for anything. And I'm not sure it's the Ayatollah. I think in Iran there actually is probably a power struggle going on between the mullahs. And if something like what you say happened, I would say that it's probably a product of that as opposed to a grand strategy that has been played out. Because of people that are capable of pulling something like this off to the point of guaranteeing our response, you've got to consider now, if you are of the crowd that thinks this whole thing was set up so as to force us to shoot it down, guaranteeing that response is something that is really a risk. Now, you got nothing to lose. If we don't shoot it down, the plane flies over, goes to Dubai, lands, if it gets off safely or not. It's calculated risk. Nothing lost if we don't take the action that we're supposed to take. But I ask you to think about something, if you do think this, and that is, when has the United States demonstrated in the past 5 years our resolve to use our military? Where is the evidence that suggests that we would do what we did? And I submit to you that it's hard to find. This is WABC Talk Radio 77. Rush Limbaugh will be back. WABC Talk Radio 77, Rush Limbaugh in New York. We will be here each weekday from 10 till 12, from now into the indefinable future. Joy Brown, if you're tuning in to hear her, who is not here now, of course. She has been moved to Saturday and Sunday afternoons at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Barbara from New Jersey, you are on WABC. Glad to have you.
Hi, Rush. How are you?
Fine. Thank you very much.
I originally called to make a couple of comments about what happened about yesterday, but listening to other people, I have some other things I want to say. First of all, you're wondering, or you need to be surprised by all the people that are calling up in support of what happened yesterday.
I'm happy to hear it. Don't misunderstand. I'm happy to hear it.
I think the reason it's happening, though, is the people of the United States are so sick and tired of trying to do what's right. I'm not saying we always do, but being walked all over by terrorists and people in other countries that they feel it's about time we got some of our licks in. Not that they're happy about what happened yesterday. But what you said about the fact that the Khomeini doesn't need an excuse to discredit the United States, he does what he wants. I think when you said that the world is stunned, you put in a nutshell exactly what perhaps their reaction, the reaction that was to be expected, was not a coincidence. Either they purposely sent that jetliner over the war zone, knowing the possibility of what would happen, or they actually did have somebody in the cockpit telling them they had to go that way, knowing they would be shot down. And of course, it is discrediting us in the eyes of the world, because they never expected the United States, who's supposed to be peace-loving.
Well, but does that matter anyway? I mean, look, we're discredited as it is. What's one more incident? Does it really, look, you as an individual go through life, people telling you can't worry about what people think of you. You've got to do what you've got to do. You have to do what you want to do. And if you go through life worrying about what your friends or your family or everybody thinks of you, then you're always going to be bogged down by that. Well, nations are nothing more than population of people. And as a nation, I think it's been a mistake for us to be concerned about world opinion anyway, because world opinion is always going to be anti-U.S., because the U.S. is the envy of the world. So what difference does this make as far as our reputation is concerned? It doesn't hurt us a bit.
Well, I agree with what you say. It shouldn't bother us, but it does, because we're always the country that yells so much about human rights being protected in other countries, and now here we have no disregard for 300 innocent civilians, and we just shoot them down as if they were just so much nothing. And I think that...
Now, see, that's not true. I think we care deeply about it.
We do. I'm not saying we don't. We definitely do. But what I'm saying is they're giving the impression, people that are saying this is the country that values human life. Well, if they value it so much, why did they shoot down 300 civilians, 290 civilians? We certainly are upset about it. I'm sure the captain of that ship, I feel very sorry for him. I'm sure he's very upset. But as the previous caller said, how is he to know that there were not troops in that plane? Just because it looks like a civilian airline, it doesn't mean there were civilians inside.
Do you know what it would take to... Well, so what are troops inside a civilian airliner going to do?
All right, not necessarily troops. Suppose they had a bomb.
Well, do you know...
Just because it looks innocent doesn't mean it is. It was. I really think it was sent there purposely for us to be shut down, knowing that we would. They had no way to know, as you said earlier. They had no way to know what we would do. Yeah. So if it went by and nothing happened, what did they lose? But I think that what they intended to have happen happened. We shot it down. And I think the captain had no other choice but to do what he did, since it was, as other callers have said so many times, since they saw it coming at them, they ignored, which is very strange. If that captain was not under duress of some kind, why would he not have answered that the message to say, look, who are you? Why are you coming over this area? I mean, there was some reason he did not. I mean, I'm sure he's not a stupid man. He had to have heard them, don't you think?
Yeah.
Why didn't he?
I
think that's the crux of it. Why didn't he? So,
it's an interesting point. I got to give you that. Barbara, thank you for calling.
Okay.
Glad to hear from you. Jack?
Good luck. Bye now.
Yeah, thank you. I'll need it. Jack from Jersey City. Hello, you're on WABC.
Hi, Rush. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
First time caller.
Hey!
I'd just like to make a comment about the previous caller. Carter's been out of office for 8 years, and he's still getting blamed for everything. I'm not saying the man was right, but my God. Going to blame him for the drought next in the Midwest.
No. They're blaming the Reagan administration for the drought.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Carter can't take the... They're blaming the Reagan administration for the drought.
All right. Hey, listen, I just like to make a comment on the golf. What are you going to do, you know what I mean? I mean, people...
Did you say... Wait a second. You got to realize I'm new to the area. Did you say golf as in G-O-L-F, or you mean the Gulf of the Persian Gulf?
People tend, to forget that they were just in a battle with two gunboats.
That's right. 45 minutes earlier,
you know what I mean?
The United States was facing assault.
So you see this thing coming at you. What are you going to do?
Right. Well, Jack from Jersey City, thank you so much for calling. Wish more of you callers could be as cogent and as well thought out. Brief. Remember, brevity is the soul of wit. It's rare that callers of such clarity get through, and we're, of course, happy that Jack did. Mike from Queens, you're next on WABC. Hello.
Hey, Rush. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for calling.
Again, long-time listeners and first-time caller.
Well, we appreciate the courage, and remember, we're always kind, patient, tolerant, and compassionate of first-time callers. Also, by the way, let me take a little bit of your time here, Mike. I won't take it away from your time, but there's another policy that this broadcast will feature, and that is cellular calls will always be moved to the front of the line because of the expense involved. Should any of you be in your automobiles and want to call, if you get through, we'll move you to the front. Okay, Mike, what's on your mind?
Well, I have comments about yesterday's accident in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
I happen to be an Iranian, and...
you are an Iranian?
That's right. I used to be in the Iranian Air Force, and I was based last time in Bandar Abbas Air Base.
Yeah.
Where Airbus took off from that area. And that admiral who commented about that, they picked up an F-14 in a radar scope. Mm-hmm. And I think the admiral knew it better, that our F-14 wasn't modified to bombing and ground...
when you say our, are you saying that as an Iranian?
That's right, Iranian.
Okay, the Iranian F-14 was not modified as a bomber.
Yeah, that's right. We had about 85 of them when it was sold, and it wasn't modified for bombing purposes. It had only air-to-air Maverick. And
well, that's enough. I mean, that's still, even if it was an F-14, that's reason enough to shoot the thing down if it's on a course heading right for you.
Well, and also the only I'm not for it. I'm not for Khomeini. I'm the reason that I get out of the country myself. Mm-hmm. I hate that guy, but I don't justify what the admiral did or said yesterday on that television, that he won. That he's the only one who claims that he won, and he said that he was out of the corridor.
Mike, he really had no choice. The admiral of the ship had no choice. The commander had no choice in this matter.
And also
faced consequences.
And also, if it was a fighter aircraft, which I have experience on that, he wouldn't come to 14,000 feet and attack a ship. Either goes higher than altitude or goes low, about 50 feet off the deck. He don't go 14,000 feet to attack an airplane, and admiral knows that. He's an admiral. He should know about that better than that.
Well,
and also, Rush, something else about comparison with a Korean airliner.
Quickly, if you would.
Sure. If you look at a Soviet Union map, they have a warning on the map. It says shut down without warning. And also, that Airbus wasn't in a U.S. territory. And that area...
Doesn't matter. It was in a war zone.
Oh, it's not a war zone. It's about 1,000 miles west of that area.
Oh, the Persian Gulf is a war zone.
That's what we claim.
Well,
that's what...
Mike, now 45 minutes earlier, a helicopter had been fired on by a couple of puny little Iranian boats.
I agree.
Now, that's a war zone.
I agree with that. I agree. And also, some of your listeners, I think they watch a lot of movies about the bombing and having a lot of bombs in aircraft and toward the ship, something like that. And I don't agree with that. I think that the Airbus was flying routinely 5 times a week.
On that same route?
That's right. Huh. That was ABC claim. That was ABC television.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. I watched a little bit of ABC television yesterday afternoon, Sam Donaldson especially, and they were really doing their best to come up with a legitimate comparison between the U.S. and the Soviet Union in this matter, trying to say that this was a parallel to KAL 007. I somewhat resented the attempt by Mr. Donaldson to say the United States is no better than the Soviet Union, and this proves it, and for all of you people who think we have a moral superiority, this proves that we don't, and da-da-da-da-da. And it grew. It grated. Well, WABC Talkradio77, Rush Limbaugh, New York. We have a couple minutes before the top of the hour news. Simon from Brooklyn, hello.
Yeah. Hello?
You're on, your big showbiz break.
Yes. First of all, God bless America. Hello?
We're on the air, Simon.
Yes.
We can hear everything that your dulcet tones say to us.
First of all, I don't believe to those Iranian if it's happening, if there's 60 kids on the board, okay?
Wait a minute. You don't believe what?
I don't believe, okay, the Iranian, what they say that there's 66 kids.
Oh, you don't believe there's 66 kids on board?
I think it's all the...
Yeah, I believe the Iranians lie about a lot. Why not this?
Excuse me?
So the Iranians lie about a lot of things.
Yes.
Probably this too.
Yes. And second, I tell you the truth, even if it's happened, okay, even if it happened, I don't think we, the American, has to be sorry about it, okay, because they are the system. What happened in Beirut, in the bomb?
That's right. But it is our nature. It is our nature. Don't you realize it's a bunch of liberals in this country we just sit around wringing our hands, oh, this is terrible, that's terrible, this is terrible.
About the 200 soldiers, American, that was killed in Lebanon.
That's right.
Is that clear to everybody in the media, in Europe, in America?
Well, you see, the attitude there is they wouldn't have gotten killed if they hadn't have been there, if the United States hadn't been on this warmonger course. You know how the argument goes.
What happened in London, the Syrian, okay? They tried to blow up the El Al in London.
Right. Don't let the music frighten you. It just means we have only a precious few seconds left, but don't let that make you nervous.
Yes. And about the sacrifice, if nobody believes that the Arab nation can sacrifice its citizen, I think Sadat, he was said in 67 war that he was ready to sacrifice 1 million citizens, okay, for the war to win Israel. So this is the Arab mentality, to sacrifice citizens. Doesn't matter if it's kids or anybody.
Well, Simon, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. We're out of time for this hour. I don't know if it's the Arab mentality to sacrifice life, as in the case of suicide car bombs. It certainly is said to be the theory and the philosophy of Shiite Muslims. This is WABC New York.